Hello everyone, I'm Pallavi Patil, Assistant Professor, Sharad Institute of Technology, College of Engineering, Yatra, Ichalkaranji. So today we are going to see the topic overall structure of database management system. So first we will see the concept regarding to schema, database instances, and data independence. So what is schema? Schema means design of database is called as a schema, or it is also called as a skeleton of your database. When we store the data into some format, it is called as a database. So schema means overall structure of data, or it is also called as a skeleton of your data. So when you store your data into a specific structure into the database, it is called as a schema. So again, schema has the three different types. So types of schema are physical schema, logical schema, and view schema. So what is meant by physical schema? A physical schema defines how data or information is stored physically in the storage system in the form of files or indices. This is actual code or syntax needed to create the structure of database. So we can say that when we design the database at a physical level, it is called as a physical schema. Next, what is the logical schema? Logical database schema defined all the logical constraints that need to apply to store the data, and also it describes the different database entities, different relationships of data, and different integrity constraint that we are going to enforce into our data. After that, what is the logical schema? So first we have already seen the word logical schema. After that, what is meant by a view schema? So it is a view level design which is able to define the interaction between the end user and the database. So user is able to interact with the database with the help of the interface without knowing much about the stored mechanism of database. So this is the schema. And next we will see what is the instances. So instance means the data stored in the database at a particular moment of time. It is called as a instance of database. Whenever you are going to store any record in the database at any particular moment, that record is called as a instance of the database. Next, we will see the data independence. So, what is data independence? Data independence is the ability to modify the schema definition in one level without affecting the schema definition in next higher level. So, what is level here? So, level means we have already seen the three-level architecture of database in previous video. So, here we have the three different levels in our architecture, that is physical level, conceptual level, and view level. Our database always work into these three levels. So what is independence? That you can independently work within the every level of the database. Okay, so data independence means you are able to modify a schema definition in one level without affecting the schema definition in next higher level. Okay, so here also it has the different types, that is first type or first level of data independence is physical data independence. So physical data independence refers to the characteristics of being able to modify the physical schema without any alteration to the conceptual or logical schema. So conceptual or logical schema is the next higher level of the physical schema. So you can work independently into the physical level without any alteration or modification into the next higher, that is conceptual level. Okay, so for example, the conceptual structure of database would not be affected by any changes in storage size of the database system server. Changing from sequential to random access files is one such the example. Okay, so this alteration or modification uh, to the physical structure may include the utilization new storage devices, modifying the data structure used for the storage, or altering the indexes, or using alternative file organization techniques. So whatever changes you have done into physical structure, it will not get affected into the um, next higher level. So this is the physical data independence, and next one is logical data independence. So it refers the characteristics of being able to modify the logical schema without affecting the external schema or application program, that is the view level. So the user view of the data would not be affected by any changes to the conceptual view of data. So user there is need not to know to what are the changes you have done into conceptual level. So you can work independently into the conceptual level. There is no effect on the view level. Okay, so these changes may include the insertion or deletion of attributes, altering the table structure, entities, or relationship to the logical schema. So without getting any worries about the next higher level, you can work independently into the every level of the database, and this is the data independence, or uh, it is called as the data independence into the database management system. Now we will see the overall structure of database management system. So these are some important components of database management system, that are the disk storage, storage manager, query processor, and database users. We will see these components one by one. So you can see here the diagram of overall structure of database management system. So you can see here the different components of database management system, that is for the storage, storage manager, query processor, and different database users. So these components also have its again own component. So we will see these components one by one. Very first component is disk storage, and it's regarding to actual the physical storage structure of your database management system. And the component of disk storage are data, that is stored data, whatever data stored into the database, that is the data is one of the main component of this disk storage. And then indices, so it indices means indices provides you the fast access to the data items. Just our for example, our books have the index, so from that index we can get a particular data uh, in a small amount of time, or very fastly you can access the data. So database management system contains the huge amount of data, so you can easily get the data using the indices. After that, the data dictionary, then the stored metadata about the structure of the database provided into the data dictionary. Metadata here means the data of the data. So whatever the explanation of the data, or meaning, you can say the meaning or explanation of the stored data, it is stored into the data dictionary. After that, the statistical data, so stored information in the form of statistical information like numbers, graph, figures. It The information of this kind of data is stored into the statistical data. So data indices, data dictionary, and statistical data, these are the components of the disk storage. Next component is store manager. A store manager is a program that provides an interface between the stored data in the database and the queries received from the user. That is, it acts as an intermediate between the disk storage and query processor component. Uh, it also known as a database control system, and it maintains the consistency and integrity of the database by applying the constraint and by executing the different data control language commands. It is also responsible for updating, storing, deleting, and retrieving of the database. So this is actually function of the storage manager. And these are the some component of storage manager. First component is authorization and integrity manager. So it ensures the role-based access control. That is, it checks the integrity constraint, means different rules which you have enforced during the storing of data. So it also checks that integrity constraint and authority of users to access the data. That is, it checks the whether a particular person is authorized to perform the requested operation or not. Next one is transaction manager. So transaction manager ensures that the database remains consistent throughout the transaction. It controls the concurrent access by performing the operations in a scheduled way, that is, it receives the transaction. Thus, it ensures that the database remains the consistent state before and after execution of the operations. Next component is the file manager. So it manages the file space and the data structure used to represent the information into the database. So it uh, manages the allocation of space on the disk storage. Next component is a buffer manager. So buffer manager is responsible for retrieving the data from the disk storage into the main memory. It enables a database to handle larger size of database with a smaller size main memory. So it is responsible for cache memory and the transfer of data between the secondary storage and the main memory. Next component is a query processor. So query processor accepts the query from the user and solves it by accessing database. It interprets the request in the form of queries received from the users via an application program into instruction. It also executes the user request which is received from the DML compiler. So components of query processor are as follows. So first one is TTL interpreter. So this will interprets the data definition language statement and fetch the definitions in the data dictionary. It processes the DDL statement into the set of table containing the metadata. Next component is DML compiler. So this will translates the data manipulation language statement in a query language into low-level instructions that the query evaluation engine understand. So it processes the DMS statement into the low-level instruction so they can be get executed. So query can usually be translated into any of the number of alternative evaluation plans for the same query results. DML compiler will select the best plan for query optimization. Next component is DDL interpreter. So this will interprets the DDL statements and fetch the definitions in the data dictionary. Next one is query evaluation engine. So this engine will execute the low level instructions generated by the data manipulation language compiler on the database management system. So this is the query processor component. Next component of database, that is the database users. So users are categorized on the basis of their activities, how they interact with the database management system. So regarding to this base, there are different database users are present. So very first user is name user. These name users are also called as the unsophisticated users. So name users are those who have no knowledge of the database management system. They use the developed application to get the required output or result. So example of this name users are reservation clerks or bank employees, store billing persons. These are the non-technical persons who have used the developed database management system in the or throughout the applications. Next type of user is application programmers. So they are actually the computer professional who have write the application programs. There are also backend programmers who have write the code for the application program, and they are specially software engineers. Next type of users are sophisticated users. So they are the database developers actually, who write the SQL queries to insert, update, delete, and select the data. They do not use any application program to request the database. They only use the SQL queries. So examples of this sophisticated users are they will be the engineers, scientists, analysts who have studied the SQL and the database management system to apply the concept. And so next one is database administrator. So work of this database administrator is the administration of overall database management system and maintenance of the data which is stored into database management system. It also work on or it also decides the design and implementation strategies of database management system architecture. Then it is also responsible for the installing and updating of database management system servers. It also responsible for performance tuning of the database system. Then database administrator also look upon the database backups and the recovery, and it also provides the security and documentation of the data stored into database management system. So these are the very important functions of DBMS, database administrator. Uh, so database administrator responsible to define the logical schema of the database. That is, he or she decides the overall structure of database in which your data is going to store. Uh, DBA decides storage structure and access methods of data in database. DBA provides the assistance to application programmers to develop the application program in which we are going to use the data which is stored into database. So DBA knows all about the structure of data. So it DBA helps the application programmers. So if application programmer got the idea about the structure, so application programmer can easily use or easily develop the program which fetches the data into the database from the database. Okay, so DBA modifies the physical organization of database to improve the performance. DBA guarantees the authorization to different users. So DBA is responsible for providing the privileges to the different users. It DBA also provides a security of data which is stored into database, and DBA also responsible for deciding the strategies for the backups and recovery of the data stored into database. So this is all about the overall structure of database management system. Thank you.